Now, like many people, I was somewhat coerced into watching Baby Reindeer on Netflix. It's become one of those pieces of television that everyone's been talking about and telling you to watch. And so sooner or later, you take the bait, don't you? There's going to be spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched Baby Reindeer and you don't want me to ruin it for you, you know what to do. Although I wouldn't recommend you do watch it. I was invited to watch Baby Reindeer when it was a live show at the Edinburgh Fringe, and I swerved it because I felt like a one-man show about being stalked by one person and groomed and sexually abused by another is not really my cup of tea. It's not my idea of a fun night out. But it's come to Netflix, everyone's going on about it, so I switched it on. And by the end, I felt like I'd been abused. Compelling and very well written, no doubt, but thoroughly unpleasant. A depiction of the very worst traits of humanity under a magnifying glass, made all the more unedifying by the fact that it was presented as a true story. Although, as it turns out, that was a lie. Much of it had been embellished, it transpired. Now, of particular interest to me was how the UK comedy scene was represented. The central character, Donnie Dunn, struggles on the open mic circuit and is groomed and sexually abused by a successful and well-known TV comedy writer stroke producer who lures him in with the promise of helping him break into TV writing. This rings absolutely true. I spent 15 years headlining more or less every gig on the comedy circuit and doing all the comedy festivals around the world repeatedly, and you come across this type of scumbag all the time. Creepy individuals with a small amount of influence and power in comedy or television, hanging around at industry bars or inviting themselves backstage after comedians' gigs, looking to exploit young, vulnerable, struggling acts who are desperate to make some sort of breakthrough and escape from the financial poverty that pursuing their artistic dream has led them to. These people give off massive red flags. They're so obviously creeps that if you've got your head screwed on, you can spot it an absolute mile off. But a lot of young aspiring comics don't have their heads screwed on, of course. Comedy is an industry that attracts vulnerable people that are ripe for exploitation. Financial exploitation is absolutely ubiquitous, with loads of acts ending up tens of thousands of pounds in debt to Edinburgh Fringe promoters. In fact, if you're a new act, you're expected to take on tens of thousands of pounds of Edinburgh debt. It's the norm. And I was always aware there was sexual exploitation going on as well. I never used to hang around after gigs. I'd go home straight away, and I was making money very quickly from comedy, so I was never in a position to be taken advantage of in any regard, although I can certainly see how easily it can happen to people. There were always rumours circulating about Russell Brand, but at the same time, there are always female comedians both offstage and onstage gloating about having slept with him, so it was difficult to know what to make of that and what the truth happened to be. What's very clear to me, though, is that the comedy industry was, and remains, horribly exploitative and can bring a huge amount of unpleasantness and ruin into people's lives, and that's writ large in Richard Gadd's Baby Reindeer. I look back and think I was lucky to avoid all of that stuff, and if any young person ever asked me about how to get into comedy, I would certainly try to steer them well away from it. And that, to me, is what redeems Baby Reindeer as a TV show. It's like a big red warning sign to anyone who watches it. The UK comedy is full of pretty vile people, and it's not a business you want to get mixed up in. But that redeeming feature doesn't compensate for the unpleasantness of the viewing experience. So if you haven't fallen into the trap of watching it already, I'd leave it well alone. Please do like and subscribe, and support me on Patreon for exclusive content every week. 3 new live stand-up dates in Southampton. Ticket links beneath this video. Thanks for watching.